And the historic hearing today, all happening in Congress. And what we're going to talk about, of course, is the SEC going and getting grilled for the very first time. We'll break it down for you. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. I do want to thank our sponsor today, and that is Coinbase, ironically. Coinbase is the great place to get started. If you're brand new to crypto, go over there and set up an account. You guys can get started trading. The best thing you can do is just use the link down below. It's going to give you $200 in crypto to get started. So very easy to do. Check it out. It does help the channel. I want to go to this hearing, and the hearing is maybe the last hearing that we'll see Patrick McHenry in, which has been, I would say, one of the key proponents of crypto over the past 2 years. But the hearing is entitled Oversight of the Securities and Exchange Commission. You can see right there, all of the commissioners will be there. We'll show a bunch of clips and drill this down for you guys, but they're reviewing a lot of different legislation, most of which is related directly to crypto, NFTs, etc. So it's a good one. You guys don't want to miss it. Make sure and subscribe to the channel right now. That way you'll get notifications if you catch our lives and or get into your algorithm. I just want to go ahead and lead off with this first clip.
Does the SEC differentiate between crypto tokens and tokenized securities?
It's less about the terms, it's more about the economics. And it really goes down to a Supreme Court test, which is the law of the land, called the Howey test.
But there are different terms and words have meaning. Really raises questions about clarity.
Well, the laws are clear and it's written by the Supreme Court, but also...
The laws are clear, but what we're seeing from the SEC is a lack of clarity. The direct question is about the different terms. And rather than answering that question, you answered a separate question. Kudos to you. Commissioner Peirce, let's get into this question.
I think that's absolutely true. We've taken a legally imprecise view to mask the regulatory lack of clarity. And this is why people have been coming to us and saying we need clarity. And I think this is absolutely, we've fallen down on our duty as a regulator not to be precise. And so tucking into a footnote that, yes, we admit that now actually the token itself is not a security, that's something that we should have admitted long ago and then started wrestling with the difficult questions.
Right.
But there certainly are some guidelines we could provide in this area that we have chosen not to provide.
But a statutory definition would help.
Well, I always welcome the input of Congress.
That's fantastic. Everybody's writing, your fellow commissioners are writing that down. We hope to hear more of that today.
I think the fact that Hester Peirce pretty much laid it on the line and says, yeah, we've been doing it wrong all along. Here's Mark Uyeda, who's also been a proponent of crypto in the past as well. Take a look.
I am the only commissioner in the history of the agency who's actually stood before a panel of judges in oral argument and articulated the Howey test. The commission, for instance, I'll give you one example, could have articulated specifically in the context of crypto and digital assets how you apply this test as to whether or not it's an investment contract and therefore a security. We have chosen not to go down that path. We are now entering into our second decade of thinking about this issue.
Second decade of thinking about this issue, not having any answers, not being prepared. And now what we're talking about is really more stifling of innovation, probably more so than any here in the United States, while you look at what's happening in the EU, look at what's happening in Asia, even in the Middle East to a certain extent, all kind of surpassing what has been happening here in the US, all because of the SEC. Here's a clip talking about capital formation failure. Listen in.
Capital formation. How much work has been put into capital formation in the last 4 years?
Nothing on the positive side. I would say we've done things that are negative to capital formation.
I think it is a very significant problem. In fact, 78% of all small business owners said they have problems finding capital.
Yeah, and the reason is the regulations that you have from the SEC. Anytime you go out to raise money, it in often cases has to be scrutinized by the SEC. Is it a security? Are you issuing stock, et cetera? Even in Reg D, which is the very bare minimum that a company, a private company, can go out and raise funds. This is something that has always been stifling innovation here in the United States around capital formation. And this is one of the problems and the fallings down of the SEC. Now, without bringing in, of course, Mr. Sherman and Mr. Vargas, it wouldn't be a great hearing video. So let's take a look.
Mr. Chairman, this is one of your last hearings, and I applaud you for using it to bring the whole commission to us here so that we could applaud their great work.
There isn't the whole gaggle of reporters and camera people here in the front. Because you've done a good job. And because the markets are doing well. Commissioner Peirce, where is the Dow Jones today? Do you know?
We can't measure the success of the agency by where the stock market is, but I think we do have tremendous capital markets in the U.S., and we really need to preserve them, and that's what we're all fighting to do.
I'm wondering if those two congressmen are actually aware of what hearing they're in. Maybe they're just confused, because that is definitely not the case in terms of what the SEC has been capable of doing in terms of fostering innovation and really kind of fostering new business development that is legal and does protect investors. Always the scenario here, but that's kind of the scenario that is playing out in front of us. Here's Maxine Waters talking about the fact that they need to get a stablecoin bill passed. That's not a typo. Take a look.
Mr. Chairman, before the end of this year, I want us to strike a grand bargain on stablecoins. But I'll be honest, with less than 3 months left in the 118th Congress, we're running out of time to pass this. I know we can get this done if we focus. So let's make it happen. And I've made a public statement to you about bipartisanship. Let's see what you do with it.
I don't know what's going on there, but I'm not sure, because Maxine has been pretty much in the pocket of Joe Biden. And the last time we've tried to assess these, including SAB 121, a lot of things have changed. Apparently, there is so much movement going in the right direction. So, hey, maybe we're going to get something passed here before the end of the year. This, of course, is the infamous Tom Emmer doing what he does best, berate Mr. Gensler. Take a look.
Which brings us to the debt box case in Utah, where your attorneys, who no doubt heard your anti-crypto rhetoric, went out and deliberately lied to a court in order to effectuate the commands from their chair to prosecute crypto companies. Chair Gensler, do you know of any other time in history where the SEC has been sanctioned by a court for material misrepresentation?
When we hire folks, we hire them
reclaiming
based
my
on-
time, sir. The answer to that question is no, it has never happened. Does the fact that we're talking about this today even slightly embarrass you?
Look, the matters in that case were not well handled,
Reclaiming
and
my
we've said
time
that
again.
to the court.
Reclaiming my time again. And just to be clear, the SEC had to pay with taxpayer dollars nearly $2 million in legal fees for this material misrepresentation, for this lie. Is the debt box case the reason that why the SEC's head of crypto asset and cyber unit resigned in June, sir?
No, they went to take another job.
Okay, so no one in a senior level position here in Washington, D.C. has been held responsible for this complete abuse of taxpayer dollars. Somehow, worst of all, you've made up the term crypto asset security. You made it up, only for your lawyers to retract it in a footnote to a court just last week.
Mr. Genser, would you ever use the term Orange Grove Securities?
I don't believe I have.
All right, so that's kind of just a little bit of a dig there at Gensler. But it's amazing to me that they have yet to truly appreciate the amount of imposition they've placed on American taxpayers, obviously not only from costs, but just in the limitation of what we as investors, but also as business owners have been able to do. This gets into, speaking of a business owner, this is getting into the Coinbase case versus the SEC and where they stand. Take a look.
So Coinbase repeatedly, 30 times, tried to come in and register with the SEC, and the SEC refused to respond. They then submitted a petition for a rulemaking. Then the SEC identified potential violations in a Wells notice, but refused to identify what those were. Howie, in your mind, is very clear. Commissioner Peirce, is this moving target, is this lawlessness by the commission conducive to investor protection?
No, it's not.
Grayscale Ripple, over and over and over and over again, your administrative actions have been struck down in federal court.
We knew ahead of time that there were legal questions about whether we had the authority to do what we did, but we moved forward, and this is not good for our institutional integrity.
I can't imagine, first of all, that this is being said by the commissioners of the SEC in open hearings in Congress today. It's amazing to me. Here's Richie Torres talking about the NFT scenario that's also playing out within Congress. Take a look.
Suppose I were to sell you a Yankee ticket and tell you that the Yankee ticket could appreciate in value and could be resold at a profit in the secondary market. Suppose the proceeds from the sale of the Yankee ticket goes toward paying for the Yankee game. By selling you the Yankee ticket, am I entering into an investment contract with you and therefore conducting an unregistered security offering?
I know where we're headed here, Representative, but I don't think so in that Yankee.
So a Yankee ticket is not, and why is the Yankee ticket not a security?
Is the offer and sale.
Specifically with a Yankee ticket, though, when you're buying a Yankee ticket, what are you purchasing?
You're buying.
Access to a Yankee game, is that fair to say?
I understand. It's been a while since I went to a Yankee game, but
Fair enough.
that's.
So in the Stoner Cats case, the creators were selling an NFT that offered access to an animated web series. Is there a legal difference between buying a Yankee ticket that offers you the experience of a Yankee game and buying an NFT that offers you the experience of an animated web series?
Again, I don't want to comment on any one specific.
Well, it was a settlement, it's a fait accompli.
But-
It's not an ongoing litigation. You can comment on it.
But it's on the.
Well, I'm familiar with the definition, you're avoiding the question.
It's
right,
actually the Supreme Court's
let me-
theory of investment.
Well, your idiosyncratic interpretation of the Supreme Court's theory. Now, in the Stoner Cats case, the SEC not only prohibited the creators from selling NFTs, the SEC ordered the creators to destroy the NFTs. Does the destruction of artistic expression by government fiat raise a First Amendment concern? You're not a First Amendment expert?
I'm not a First Amendment expert.
Do you need to be? Do you think artistic expression is protected under the First Amendment? Do you need to be a First Amendment expert to answer that question?
I think the ins and outs of First Amendment law are actually very nuanced. I think we can work together to advance the interests of the industry.
You're not answering my question. And
Man, the dodging that is happening here is mind-boggling, especially, I guess, when you don't really have a position, you just have to tap dance like this. Now, here is one clip talking about, of course, Vice President Kamala Harris and the potential versus Gensler and how this might play out. Take a look.
It's been recently reported that Vice President Harris has finally said she'd craft clear rules of the road for the digital asset space if she becomes president. Is this your approach too, sir? Or do you think she's rebuking you because she doesn't think you've done a good enough job establishing these clear rules over the last 3 years of her administration?
We are enforcing the laws, and there are many
Reclaiming
people
my
in this
time.
field
So you don't
that are
think
not
she's
following
rebuking
the
you?
laws.
Do you agree with Vice President Harris, her statement that the U.S. should encourage innovative technologies like digital assets while protecting investors and consumers? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 Protecting the investors, I agree with that for sure.
Yes or no?
Yes, protect the investors. That's what we are doing.
You've single-handedly set us back years in our support for Web3 technology.
Candidate Harris decides that she wants to pivot on crypto, it seems like you're gloating. I'm still here. So as you highlighted, you meet with the chairman of the Federal Reserve regularly. Do you guys discuss things like Operation Choke Point 2.0?
I've never heard that term, and I'd also want to say half of the rules that we've adopted, 42 rules, half of them have actually been bipartisan.
Some of the work's been good, but a lot of it's been bad.
I can't, okay, this is out of control. I mean, he's never heard the term choke point 2.0. This is out of control. These are the kind of things that are happening in DC constantly. It just drives me up the wall. All right, so let's go to what I think is the clip of the day. This is, they were talking about AI. This is why we need term limits. Take a look.
To convince me that I should not be paranoid about AI. And I don't know if any of you saw that movie called iRobot. It ought to be required reading for everybody with the SEC and our financial agencies. If you look at the movie again, you probably miss it the first time, but if you look at it now, you're going to find out that all those robots were white. And I was thinking, Will Smith should have gotten a couple of black and brown robots, but you know, that's just my paranoia. What should we be doing?
I think of another great movie. It was a romantic comedy, not iRobot, but Her. And you might remember Scarlett Johansson is the voice of the virtual assistant, girlfriend to Joaquin Phoenix. And
These robots are trying to tell us something.
yeah, it's a good movie.
Okay, well, that's good that we're out there talking about movies and non-existent robotics as opposed to actually driving regulation and innovation in the United States, actually changing people's lives. Well, that is the case. And of course, you have another hearing potentially that was scheduled to happen. And guess what? The Banking and Senate Banking Oversight Committee have now postponed that. So I'm not sure if they were concerned about what was going to happen in today's committee hearing, or if this has got some other scenario. I don't know. Maybe we could be in a position now where Gary Gensler is finally on the hot seat to get fired. Will that happen? Let me know with some comments down below. Do you guys think Gensler is going to get fired over this? I mean, this is pretty much revealing, I think, a lot to the American taxpayer as well as the American investors, and maybe even to the parties that are now running for the U.S. presidency. So understanding really what's happening in the SEC. As I said, if you're not in the Diamond Circle, get in right now. It's another great place to get additional content from us. And if we did drop an NFT, it is not a security, just so you know. It's not a security. All you guys have to do is reach me out there on X, @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.